Welcome to episode 16 of Book Read. I am super excited today because I've not seen this young lady for over 30 years, and now she's an author of a phenomenal book called Foraged Condiments. She has put years and years of effort into her herbalist training in order to come up with this beautiful book, which I suggest, because it's out today, Tuesday the 24th of June, I suggest that at the end of the show you go and buy it straight away. How amazing to get it hot off the press. I don't need to talk any more about it because I need to introduce you to today's featured author, the amazing Natasha Lloyd. Natasha Lloyd, welcome to Book Read, lovely lady. How are you in sunny Scotland?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Jaden. How are you doing?
I'm really super stoked about this episode because I probably haven't seen you for 32 years, but we used to hang out in our teens quite a bit, for whatever, the groups, the social groups that we were in at the time. So it's amazing not only to see you again, but to also, we chatted obviously before this interview about, the things that you're doing, the things that you've learned, the gifts that you have. Is just incredible, mate. You've really made my year, not just my day. So I'm very excited to be doing this show with the author and friend Natasha Lloyd. How amazing is that? I want to ask you, because when I knew you, we were like 15, 16, 17. I definitely weren't doing shows or pretty much anything then, apart from singing in church, and never imagined that you would be the herbalist goddess that you are today. Amazing. How has your journey been that has taken you to becoming an author? Tell me a little bit about it.
So I won't go right back to when we first knew each other. I know I've always had plants around me from my mum. We had allotments and a garden, and then... Where
was you living? Was you in Isleworth or Brentford?
Isleworth.
I was in Isleworth as well. Wow, okay.
Yeah. I liked Isleworth.
I still love it. It hasn't changed much, thank goodness, apart from a couple of super...
Is it not?
No, but anyway, we digress. But yeah, so you found plants and that as a kid as well, yeah?
Yeah, and then, as you're growing up, you think, right, what should I do with my life? I was good at maths, so I thought that was the path. I was good at maths at school. It was like the only one that I was in the top set for. So I thought, maybe I should just do maths. But then what are the options when you've done a degree in maths? Accounting. It's not me. No disparaging of accountants at all. If that's your path and that's what you enjoy.
Monday to Friday, 9 till 6 in an office. Yeah, I can't see you doing that.
No, that was never going to be me. So I thought, right, okay, I started doing a degree with the Open University, and I did well at the maths. And then I thought, well, actually, I don't know that I want to do this. As an abstract, yes, I love fractals and the way that nature has all the geometry and everything else, like a Romanesco. It's a beautiful fractal. And so that really interests me. And then I read The Golden Braid.
Tell me.
Which is a book about Isha Godel Bach. And it shows the combination of music, nature, Isha Godel, and art.
Wow, okay.
Very, very interesting book. Highly recommend. I think you would get a lot out of it. But it's a very complex book and there's lots of different things, and it just made me realise that there was more to numbers than just what you're learning in a degree. And it really opened up my perspective, which was a very good thing to do, especially after some of the stuff that I'd had in my early days. It was just a bit too closed. So to open that up was really interesting. And then I discovered that you could do a degree in herbal medicine. I didn't look back. I ran full pelt into that degree. It took me a long time, but I managed it, and I didn't look back because it was the marrying of plants to people.
Amazing.
And that was the next connection that made me go, this makes a lot of sense.
Still my dream. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it now at 52 years old, but that's still my dream to do that at some point. I would love to do that. So how?
I'm going to exchange some information with you after this so that you can have a look at the courses that are available, the decent ones. There's there's a lot of courses and short courses which are good as well, but there are some that I wouldn't recommend, but we'll do that later. And now it's so different. So I did the degree and then kind of floundered around for a couple of years, not having enough confidence. That's completely changed. I have so much more confidence. It's wonderful, isn't it?
That's interesting as well, sister.
I know, I was just going to mention that. It is an age thing. I'm now going through the menopause and I don't give as much of a monkeys at all. It's wonderful. My self-esteem is just in such a different place. Plus, I've landed up in some very interesting places and learnt from some really good people. We all need the people around us in our community to lift us and make us who we are. And so the book came about. I was hitchhiking and I got picked up by the head chef of a hotel.
Okay.
I've been doing some workshops at festivals and a few locally before foraging really became a big thing. I got called a forager after a herbalist by being at a festival and two friends arm in arm taking me along past a music venue going, "You are a forager." Trying to convince me. I was like, okay. Then I took that on board, did quite a few workshops with a friend of mine, Eleanor Brown. She's the fermented forager, still a very good friend. And then we ended up, I was hitching one day. My life had taken a downturn, but I don't always see it as a downturn because I had taken a crossroads where I didn't have much. I didn't have a car. And so I was hitching, and on my way back, I was hitching to work. And I got picked up by the head chef of this new hotel called the Fife Arms in Braemar. And I'm a talker, and I was saying to him, "This isn't my real job." And he said, "Have you got a card on you?" And I said, "Yeah." 2 weeks later, they offered me the job as in-house forager.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so delighted. And I have not looked back. I've been with the hotel since the beginning. Really lovely owners, been really supportive.
Wow, cool. So what made you decide, I need to put all this down on paper, I need to kind of write about this?
What
kind of made you decide to kind of become the author, like to put it all down on paper? Because obviously you're living and you're foraging and you're doing your thing, happy in your job. What was the thing that made you decide to become the author?
Okay, so that happened before the hotel. The hotel gave me a platform because for that first 9 months I was in the kitchen making the condiments. So the hotel is owned and run by Hauser and Worth, a very big art dealership. Don't know if that's the right words. I'd gone into burnout a few years before, and that part of that crossroads, and I was deciding what I wanted to do with my life. I still decided I wanted the plants, but I decided I wanted to write a book. Then the hotel came along. I got 9 months in an excellent kitchen with excellent chefs. Brand new kitchen. I'm still friends with the chef that picked me up that day. And so I learned to do jams, chutneys. I mean, I already knew those from being a kid with my mum, but I was doing it on a much bigger scale. The ferments, the pickles, and I really enjoyed it. Really good fun. And so I said, right, I'm going to write the book about what I've been doing, what I know. And so once I'd said I was going to write a book to all the people in the kitchen and beyond, everyone I spoke to, I was, I'm going to write a book. Then I had to do it, didn't I?
And you did. Foraged Condiments.
Here we go.
How beautiful.
Yeah, working with Ashley Cook, the illustrator, was just an absolute dream. We connected so quickly. We've never actually met. And her work is just stunning. Let's see if I can... This is wild garlic.
Wow.
And so I wrote... This is valerian. So beautiful.
Yeah, really.
So she did 20 illustrations on the front cover. So I wrote all the words down in an email to her, and then she came up with the illustrations, and it was just this connection every single time.
Amazing. So
we're going to do
when was the book released?
It's actually been released on Monday.
Oh my God! It's hot off the. I am so privileged.
Yeah. I mean, look at Hawthorne, Mother of the Heart.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I've shown this to for the endorsements. People have said it feels like it captures the spirit of the plants, which I feel very deeply honoured.
Yeah. Well, I think now, I think we're getting to a stage now where we're becoming, we're starting to see the interconnectivity of everything that is not easy to say, but where we're realizing that everything is interconnected. So even Dame Judi Dench went on on TV show and was talking about how you cut one tree down in a forest, it tells the other trees what's going on. I mean, and this is scientifically proven now, not hedge witchery bullshit. This is this is now scientifically proven about how the fungi and mushroom species actually is the telephone lines for all of the plants and the trees in the forest. Like, these things are now being proven. They're not just nice chats now. So I think learning about the spirit and the essence of the plant, not just its particular medicinal or flavor, is deeply important now to know how everything is formed and connected. It's amazing.
It's hugely important, and the deeper I get into my learning, and thank goodness there'll never be a day where I don't stop learning, because that's one of my great joys, excuse me, was that interconnectedness is huge. So if a bunch of insects go to a tree and start munching on it, within 10 minutes there's a chemical signal of chemical language that goes out and tells the other trees in the area through the mycelial networks, and it takes 10 minutes, and they'll change the composition of their leaves to not be attacked so quickly by the insects. Isn't that amazing?
Yes. We would never have even thought of that 15, 20, 25 years ago. It's just a tree, right? What does it matter?
Yeah.
No,
they all talk to each other. Like, if one tree is low on nutrients, it will say, "I'm not feeling so great today," in its own language, which we're now getting sentences for. We're learning their language now, yet they've been doing it for thousands of years. And so it will put out that chemical signal, and then the other trees in their community of trees will bring nutrients back along the mycelial network for that tree.
So really, we're probably the least aware, the least community, and the least evolved species on the planet, to be fair.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Really. We're like, "Oh, sorry, I'm too busy, can't go out." Yeah. I think it's amazing. So how was it put in, like, everything you've learned? Because obviously these are lots of things in your head and things that you're practicing on a daily basis. What was it like to actually put that down on paper and to form the structure without it being kind of like a very chaotic, sporadic book? How did you bring it into form? What did you have to do to kind of put all that stuff, all your knowledge, all your years of work into this beautiful formed piece of art?
It was quite a journey of self-depth and digging into my own psyche as to how do I convey this to other people. I do walks all the time at the hotel now, and I really enjoy that. The connecting to people, connecting them to nature and to plants and trees and mushrooms. I really enjoy that. But how do I put that on paper? Because each walk is different. You tailor it to what their needs and expectations are. If somebody's into cosmetics, I'll do it more for skin. If they're into cocktails, then we'll do it for cocktails. Like today I was talking to a medic, so I'm bringing out the longer words, which I enjoy doing. But to put it on paper so that it can be conveyed as much for everybody.
There's one size fits all, yeah. That's very different.
It's a huge journey. It took me a long time, longer than I would have liked, but that's probably true for everybody. I'm fairly impatient. I think it just kind of came together eventually. I was like, I need to choose just 20 plants, because otherwise we'll be here for the rest of our days. And then which recipes do I put in the book? So like I've done pickled birch leaf, just because it's slightly different. And it's got a touch of that Nordic edge as well, which people are also very much aware of. But pickled brambles, pickled blackberries.
I've got blackberries fruiting at the moment. We need to be having more chats offline, you and me.
Absolutely. Oh, and then the last part of the book is the Wild Biome Project, where I ate wild food for a month.
Okay.
And we did the parameters, the health parameters, microbiome, cholesterol, blood sugars, hormones, and nutrition. So 24 of us were persuaded by Monica Wilde to do this. Some people I did it for a month, and so other people did it for 3 months to see how that would affect our bodies. The nutritional aspect, I didn't take my supplements because I wanted to just try and see what happened. My nutrition went up.
Wow, okay.
Inflammation went down. There was no sugar in the diet, obviously, that helps. Microbiome went up by like 30 points in terms of diversity.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Are you vegetarian?
No, I'm not.
No.
I used to be.
Yeah, I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But no, it's quite interesting as well. So a lot of these, the recipes for, you know, the sauces, drinks, and everything, they could be used by someone that was vegetarian or vegan, but they're still going to be beneficial to pretty much anyone with any eating habit or routine, right?
Do you know what? I didn't think about dietary requirements when I wrote this. I'm very aware of dietary requirements, including my own body has gone through different changes in that sense. But they are all vegan and vegetarian.
Amazing. That's super cool.
It just made me realise that as you said
They're
that.
just bloody healthy, quite frankly. They don't fit into a social genre. They're just, this is what you can do with nature.
Yeah.
Love it. So how's it been received? I mean, it's going to be obviously public release soon, but, you know, obviously other people must have had a bit of a cheeky glimpse, no?
Oh, I mean, there's endorsements on the back, which I'm very proud of. It's been well received. It's very difficult when you put your own piece of art out into the world. I'm quite self-critical, definitely suffered from imposter syndrome in the past, don't think I'm good enough. Which now, when I've got more confidence, is just a bit ridiculous.
But normal, you wouldn't be the first, mate.
No, of course not.
Hollywood, you know, A-list celebrity who also suffers big time from imposter syndrome. Syndrome. So yeah, it's, you know, it's part of the course.
It is part of, and I would rather come that way than ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much. You're going to make more mistakes that way. When I reflect back now,
which also it's part of the learning process as well, right? Like you said, the learning process never ends.
No, thank goodness.
You know,
it's been very well received, and I've now, since I've had it for about a week in my hands, which I spent the first day going, I did a book.
Oh.
I was literally hugging it to my chest for most of the day. Then I went out to the river and into nature to go, thank you. We did it.
Yeah, because without nature, without your connection to that book wouldn't even exist, mate.
No.
Definitely a shared award, isn't it?
Yes, without a doubt. But since then, since I've had it and I've felt that lovely feeling, it's been very well received.
Amazing. So
I'm
very excited.
very happy.
I would love you to read us a little bit of it if you think you could do that.
I can do that. Which bit, though?
Okay.
Hi, this is a reading of Foraged Condiments by myself, Natasha Lloyd. So I'm just going to read you the very beginning of the book, which gives a bit of a background as to why I kind of got into plants and herbal medicine and foraging. So, as a child, I was often outside. My mum would take us bramble picking in the autumn, and we would discuss the plants we saw. How long has this bush been here? How old is it? And is it older than the bush that we saw next to it? Does it like its plants' neighbours? Who would have picked from here in the past? Questions and thoughts like this allowed my young mind to wander and think. I remember the day I was weeding in the front garden. We lived in a block of flats at the time, and keeping our front garden was important because it meant the estate looked good. At times it was more of a chore than a joy for me as a child. We were not the keeping up appearances type, but I could see the point in it. At this age I was unaware of neighbourly and societal pressure, but my mum was often asking me to weed the garden. I became annoyed one day and didn't want to continue my task. I suddenly had more questions. Why does this plant get to live here, but this one doesn't? I found it harder and harder to pull out the young plants. Surely they deserved a chance at life too. My mum explained the details of nutrients and space for the plants to grow and said that pulling up the young nettles would help the other plants have their own space and nutrients. She went on to say if we looked elsewhere, locally we'd find that plant growing. So she took me to the local nettle patch on a patch of waste ground growing nearby. Mum saw my interest and concern and connection with the plants and took me inside. She showed me her copy of Mrs Grieves' book, A Modern Herbal from 1931, and we looked up a few of the plants. That day I found my passion for plants and especially for weeds, the plants considered to be living in the wrong place. For the next few years of that garden, I would then find a weed in the waste ground, ask my mum what it was, and looked it up in the book. I still use that particular copy of the book today. So for me, foraging and plants have always been part of my life. Then I followed my passion. I went on to train as a medical herbalist, and a lot of the plants I knew as a child I now use in practice. When I was growing up, my mum told me we were related to the Beaton family, a clan with a strong medical tradition. At the time, I didn't think much of that connection and almost dismissed it. Then when researching for my dissertation, I learnt more about the Beatons and now wonder how much of that love and passion for herbal medicine and foraging is in my blood. I have a natural passion for plants and nature, and my ancestors did so as to their role in their communities. So it's perfectly natural I would do this in my community too.
That's amazing, mate. And to think that you were down the road from me doing that. It was quite interesting because we're very kind of similarity on some level, because when everyone was playing Star Wars and had and everything in the school building of Marlborough Primary School, I had a little group of kids my age, so I'm kind of 6, 7, 8 years old, and we would go into the school field and I was studying moths and butterflies, which also took me to having to study the plants that they lived and thrived on and laid their eggs on and stuff like that. So I was learning about like nettles and pollinators and stuff like that because I was addicted. I had my own group called Nature Club, and we were out in Marlborough Primary School field learning about plants and how essential they were for the insect community and the pollinators. So we were probably doing the same thing until we met up, in Hounslow, in our social group back in the 80s and stuff. But yeah, amazing. It's really cool to hear that. Super lovely.
Isn't that interesting that we were both doing something fairly similar, but we've never discussed it until this point?
Yeah, super cool. So, and down the road from each other, like probably meters away from each other, really. We
spent a huge amount of time together in those years as well.
Yeah. Mad, absolutely. Yeah. Super cool.
I wonder why we didn't talk about it. I think I was also at 16. I was kind of doing a bit of a rebellion.
I was becoming accepted for the first. I didn't really have friends because I was a bit of a weirdo, and I was just into butterflies and moths and caterpillars. And it's only when I kind of started going into, the religious setting where I was starting my music and starting my singing and was being accepted and was being told that I was, a good lad and a handsome lad, and I was getting lots of attention for the first time ever. I was a bit of the Harry Potter stroke, like beaten to shit every single day at school kind of thing. So I didn't go out. So when you find that acceptance in a group, actually I was more interested in playing to the needs of becoming me than the needs of needing to know what nettles the cabbage white butterfly would lay its eggs on and how long they would be, before they became caterpillars and blah blah blah. So yeah, everything takes you to the next learning phase, right? And you have been proof that it always comes full circle,
Definitely, yeah. And same for you as well. You're back with the moths and the butterflies.
Absolutely, yeah. It was always my dream. Do you remember Zion Park had a butterfly house?
Yes,
I live in a butterfly house. I just wanted, because you couldn't get wet because there was no rain because it was covered. So I just wanted to live in a butterfly house, being surrounded by butterflies. And it's quite interesting. Say, I posted on my Facebook yesterday that I've been really working with a local organisation here in Mexico that It's about kind of reforestation and, bringing more pollinators and looking after the butterflies and moths and hummingbirds and fireflies and bees and all this kind of stuff. And so have brought shed loads of pollinating plants, like just shed loads of lantanas, and we even got we have buddleia here, which I hadn't seen since England. It was just amazing. So to get all these pollinators, and yesterday I was literally out. We had a break in the rain in the mornings, which is kind of normal. And there were millions of butterflies. Like, there's a lemon tree just outside the house on the lane, which is really beautiful. It's lime actually, but it's called limon. Really beautiful established lemon tree with its beautiful scented white flower, just incredible scent. And I walked up to it the other day, and all of a sudden it looked like all the white blossom took off. There must have been 100 cabbage white butterflies on those blossoms, if there was one. But because the blossoms are so big and they're just so pure white, the taking off of all the butterflies looked like the blossom. It was like a scene from, I don't know, like a American teenage witch movie, The Craft. It just like this whole tree just burst into life. It was amazing. So yeah, I'm kind of back to where I started, actually, in the garden with my camera, whatever minute I get spare, with my camera taken of how many butterfly species I can find.
Oh, I have to come out at some point. I want to see that.
That's a definite. And you are in the forest and the woods, on a much bigger scale than Isleworth, foraging. Yes. It's really quite interesting because a friend of mine who came to San Chris before me said, "Oh, there's this beautiful plant that's growing wild in San Chris. We don't get it here, and it's lovely, and I've looked it up, and it's really medicinal, blah blah blah." Anyway, so I came out to visit and everything, and it was really cool. And I was like, "So where's this plant?" And he went, "That's the plant." I went, "That's a dandelion, mate." I obviously know about not much, but I do know about its medicinal purposes and how phenomenal they are, and and they're very choosy where they grow and all this kind of stuff. But for someone to go, "There's this beautiful flower that's everywhere, it's so amazing," I was expecting like this tropical hibiscus, and that's a dandelion, mate. My mum gets them out of her garden, she removes them because they spoil the lawn. It was just really incredible to have to see that again and to have it explained. Like you said, weed is a misplaced flower, right?
Yeah, and also to have that as that joy of someone finding that plant, whereas it's very familiar to us. To that person, they're just like, "Wow, look at this!" And it is hugely medicinal. So the story goes, I've looked at a bit of history of this. So the settlers took dandelion over to the Americas and had it as a plant for medicine and for food. And then as they became more affluent, they had lawns, and so they would take the dandelions out of the lawns to show their affluence. Okay. And that's partly why we have that in England and Scotland.
Okay.
But originally it was dandelion lawns.
Right, okay. Super cool. And I didn't know, apparently you can eat the leaves like you could eat rocket, no? Like the salad.
Absolutely, and delicious. Get them before they flower because they become less bitter. But they're a mild diuretic, and from a medicinal point of view, they have a huge amount of potassium in the leaf, so you don't need to, if you have an orthodox, and I'm not against orthodox medicine at all, I'm an integrated medicine person. And so an orthodox loop diuretic, you need to take potassium alongside it because it takes the potassium out of your body, so you're asked to eat a couple of bananas a day. Right. But you don't need to with the leaf in dandelion because it's got so much potassium in it. It's already a well-rounded medicine.
Wow, that's amazing. As nature is, right?
Yeah, it knows what it's doing.
As nature is. So I'm guessing, so how many plants did you pick for this book again? Did you say 7?
20.
Oh, 20. So there's shitloads more plants, mate. So I'm kind of guessing there's going to be shitloads more books as well.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, winter time. I'm already working on another project with Ashley. Because now I've done one and it's here and I feel so proud and it's been well received. It's time to go with it and do more.
Sweet.
And enjoy the process.
That is maybe a Foraged Condiments Mexico Mountains version as well in the future.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Because actually, I've been doing a lot of research out here, and there is not much about the medicinal thing, the plants and the things that are grown here. Only the stories from the local communities. So that's really quite interesting. Could be a really wonderful research, and probably one of the first researches about this part of the country as well. So yeah, that could be really cool.
It's interesting that a lot of tradition has always been orally presented in stories and in songs. And there's a bit of me resistant to do the first writing as someone not from that culture. But we can investigate that and talk to the locals and see how they feel.
Absolutely. It's funny here, not so much in the city, but here where I live in the communities, there's a lot of, my uncle knows someone with a great plant for that. So it's a lot about herbal medicines here, which you don't get up in this, because there was not much transport, and it's up the mountain to get to the city, and money isn't a big thing here. It's one of the poorest states in Mexico, so people can't afford to go to a doctor and to, a plush pharmacy where, they have to rely more on the fine things that they can find within the forests and the valleys in order to be able to treat their ailments. So it's very, very interesting here. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. People, obviously, they've heard your foreword, they've seen the illustrations, they think you're wonderful. Where can they buy the book?
So the book can be found on Amazon, Waterstone, in the UK and in the US, and of course in all very good bookshops.
Amazing. This is super exciting. And you'll see, people at home, that on the introductory page to this episode, you will find the links to go and find Natasha on her social media, her Instagram and her Facebook, and the links of where you can buy the book as well, which I suggest you do, because this is very much needed, not only for your bookshelf, but probably for your kitchen bookshelf as well. I'm very excited to be pickling and fermenting for the next year until this woman gets out to bloody Mexico and shows me how to do it properly. That would be Natasha Lloyd, I cannot thank you enough for not only coming back into my life, but also for sharing your wonderful book on episode 16 of Book Read. That is amazing. I hope you'll come back and talk to me when the next installment of your book range is out and available as well. That would be super lovely.
Thank you for inviting me to come and chat, and I am so excited that we reconnected. We're going to do some great stuff together.
Absolutely.
I'm really confused.
Watch this space, kids. Go and find her, go and show her love, go and support her. Like I said, her Instagram and her Facebook links are on the title page of this episode. Go and get that book. It's a must-have for your book collection. So I suggest you go and do that before you turn off your computer. And why not? Natasha, thank you so much. We are definitely in contact, and we will talk again very soon.
Thank you, Jaden.
Cheers, darling. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Natasha, thank you so much for being today's special featured author. Super, super excited about your book. So cannot wait to get my own copy of that. It sounds amazing. And also to be quizzing you about other recipes and plans for my kitchen as well. That sounds absolutely amazing. Very excited about the future episodes of that range as well of books. That will be amazing. People at home, thank you so much for joining us today on episode 16 of Book Read. I do suggest that before you turn off your computer, you go to follow the links that are on the title page and go and purchase that book. It sounds and looks incredible. You need it. You know you do. Get it sorted out. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please like. Please share. The more you subscribe and get others to do the same, the bigger the audience is for all my guest artists and authors on my shows. So please do that. I'll be super, super grateful. I will see you on the next edition of Book Read. You take care. Stay lovely. Bye-bye.